I never imagined that hiring a new maid would transform our sleepless twin babies' lives forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The clock ticked mercilessly in the background, each second mocking the exhaustion etched on my face. I felt like I was drowning, shrouded in the haze of sleepless nights and endless cries. My twins, Oliver and Mia, were mysteries beautiful, yet tormented. Their little faces, once filled with potential joy, were often twisted in discomfort. Each time they wailed, my heart shattered a little more. Desperation led me to the classified ads. Household help wanted. I didn't care who stepped through that door as long as they could help heal the chaos that enveloped our home. When she arrived, a figure cloaked in shadows, her eyes glinting like a predator's, my gut twisted. She wore a simple dress, but the way she moved seemed almost too graceful for this world. There was something unearthly about her, as if she had stepped out of a dream or a nightmare. The air felt thick when she smiled, a knowing smile that caused my breath to hitch. The moment she entered the nursery, a hush befell the room. The babies, who had been screaming moments before, quieted instantly. I stood frozen, my heart racing. Had this stranger cast a spell? Against all logic, I felt a flicker of hope. But an unsettling feeling gnawed at my insides. What cost came with this newfound calm? I watched as she cradled Oliver, her touch light and deliberate, sending chills down my spine. Mia blinked in awe, her tiny hands reaching for the woman. I felt a lump in my throat. Days passed. It was like magic. The twins thrived under her care, giggles replacing cries, bright eyes sparkling with joy. Neighbors commented on the change. "You found the perfect match," they said, but deep down, I felt the eerie undercurrents, the dissonance that haunted me. Why did I still hear whispers of ancient lullabies that sent shivers down my spine? Why did my heart race every time she cast me a sidelong glance? Just when I thought I'd cracked the code of this impossible household, strange things began to unfold. Objects went missing: my grandmother's locket, Mia's favorite blanket. I dismissed them as mere coincidences, yet unease settled like a heavy fog. Then came the night that shattered everything. The twins were sleeping peacefully, the moonlight streaming through the window like a spotlight, illuminating the nursery. I tiptoed in, driven by an inexplicable urge. But what I found sent my heart plummeting. The maid stood there, swaying slightly, her eyes clouded, cradling something in her hands. A stuffed toy? No, it was something darker, a small notebook. As I crept closer, the pages fluttered open, revealing scrawls that twisted my insides. My voice escaped as a whisper, "What are you doing?" Her head snapped up, those predatory eyes locking onto mine, filled with something I could neither name nor understand. What had I let into my home? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air turned heavy in an instant, thick with an unspoken tension that seemed to vibrate in the dim light. I could feel my heart pound in my chest, a frantic drumbeat that echoed the fear swelling within me. The maid's expression morphed into something unsettling, a knowing smile that seemed both innocent and menacing. I took a hesitant step back, my mind racing with questions that bore no answers. "What is that?" I asked, choked with urgency, my voice barely a whisper. The words caught like briars in my throat, the simple inquiry loaded with the weight of my dread. She held the notebook tightly, her fingers caressing the edge as if it were a cherished secret. "A record," she replied, her voice soft, almost sing-songy, sending chills down my spine. "A record of the twins' dreams." My brow furrowed. Dreams? What did she mean? The twins were just babies, hardly capable of forming cohesive thoughts, let alone dreams. You can't. Her laughter cut through the air, melodic yet hollow. "Oh, but they shared so much with me. They trust me," she said, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling fervor. You've left them open to the world, vulnerable, and I've merely helped them speak the language of their imagination. My breath hitched. It felt like I was staring into a void where my reality twisted and contorted into something unrecognizable. I forced myself to look at the notebook, desperate to understand. I took a chance, stepping forth, reaching out for it, but she sidestepped me, cradling it protectively against her chest. "Do you want to hear what they dream of?" she asked, a wicked glint in her eyes. "No," I snapped, horrified yet unable to pull my gaze away. My heart raced as flashes of nightmare scenarios swirled in my mind, igniting a fear I didn't know my soul could harbor. "They're just babies. You're not supposed to invade their minds." She rolled her eyes, irked by my interruption. "You misunderstand. I am merely a conduit, a bridge. They need to channel their fears, their wishes. Every child does. But at what cost?" A sudden thought pierced through my panic. The missing locket, the blanket. Were these remnants of the dreams she'd harvested? "You're taking things from them." Her laughter rang out again, but this time it felt like ice skimming over cracked glass. "What I take, I give back tenfold. You don't understand the power that lies within innocent dreams." A shiver crept down my spine. I glanced toward the nursery door, desperately wishing to escape, to shield my children from this unholy exchange. But my feet were anchored to the wooden floor, bound by sheer disbelief at what was unfolding. Before I could protest further, she stepped closer, her breath brushing against my cheek, heavy with secrets. "Do you want to witness their dreams?" She lifted the notebook between us, the pages fluttering like wings, heart pounding. Caught between my instincts and morbid curiosity, I found myself nodding. I needed to understand her connection with the twins, the enchantment that breathed new life into our once chaotic home. "Very well," she said, her voice low and rich like dark chocolate, "but remember, some paths lead to darkness. Are you ready for what might come?" As I tilted my gaze down toward the open notebook, the world around me began to blur. Images swirled, memories of moments I hadn't lived but felt reverberate through my very core. Echoes of laughter, shadows of fright, a battlefield of childhood fears and whimsical delights danced across the pages. But then the colors turned dark, and a chilling wind swept through the room, the air vibrating with a discordant song. I felt my heart siege within my chest, my breath caught again as I recognized a figure stepping through the nightmare, a dark silhouette, watching, waiting. "Shut it!" I half shouted, half begged, horrified at what lay before me. "I'm stopping this now." But the maid simply smiled, her eyes flickering with a knowing wickedness. "It's too late. They've already shared their dreams with me." And just like that, time stopped. A sense of finality loomed in the dim nursery as the shadows lengthened, spiriting a chilling realization deep into my bones. The twins were not just the innocent beings I thought I had been protecting. They were entwined in something far greater, something that dragged its weight across the tapestry of nightmares. I turned to face her, desperate for an ally, but she had drifted back, her form dissolving into the shadowy corners like smoke. And then, the nursery door creaked open. "Mommy?" A small voice called softly from the hallway, pulling me from the depths of my horror. My heart lurched, thrusting me back toward reality. "Oliver? Mia?" I rushed out, already knowing the answer, wrenching the door open. Standing there were my twins, their faces illuminated with innocence and confusion. "Mama, we had a bad dream," Mia said, her little voice trembling as she clutched her brother, but the weight of the night pressed down on me. I could feel the invisible strings binding us to whatever fate awaited us. "Everything will be all right," I whispered, though doubt pulled in my gut. But deep within my heart, a part of me knew I had unleashed a force that could never truly be contained. As I embraced my children, the darkness pulsed just behind me, the haunting echo of dreams whispering secrets I could not yet fathom. My world began to tip at the edges, spiraling deeper into an unknown that promised danger. And there, in that fragile moment of warmth, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were already too late. The maid's whispers lingered in the air, her laughter resonating in the shadows that followed us all. The days that followed the encounter with the maid felt like a haze, a thick fog obscuring my thoughts and clouding the joy that once filled our home. Every dim light flickering in the corners of our house seemed to amplify the unease that now accompanied us. I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked just beneath the surface, waiting for the moment I turned my back to strike. The twins, Oliver and Mia, nestled together on the couch in their blanket fort, were oblivious to the tension that suffocated me. They played, voices bubbling with laughter, their innocence a striking contrast to the shadows that filled the corners of my mind. "Look, Mommy!" Oliver shouted, holding up a crayon drawing, dark lines competing with vibrant hues. "It's a dragon." His eyes sparkled with joy. For a moment, I lost myself in his creativity, the dragon roaring to life on paper, and I wanted nothing more than to hold on to this fleeting moment. But reality rushed back in. The maid's words echoed through me, haunting whispers that refused to fade. They've already shared their dreams with me. What did that mean? Had she truly forged a connection with my children that I could not see? My stomach twisted tighter, and I forced a smile, wanting to be strong for them. "That's amazing, sweetheart." "You're so talented," I said, kneeling beside him, but my heart felt heavy. I touched the soft strands of his hair, trying to ground myself. But like a gust of wind, the memory of that night swept back, the dark figure watching us from the realm of dreams. Mia, sensing my distraction, leaned in closer, her small hand resting on mine. "Mommy, tell us a story," she pleaded, her innocent eyes wide with expectation, pulling me back into the moment. "All right." "Once upon a time, in a land filled with bright colors and happy creatures," I started, attempting to escape the shadows pressing against my mind. "There was a brave knight who halfway through, there was a knock at the door." It was soft and unassuming, barely breaking the bubble of laughter surrounding us. "Mommy, don't stop," Oliver urged, but I felt the heaviness settle in my chest. I hesitated, looking at the door, dread pooling underneath my skin. "Can you check who it is?" I asked, the tremor in my voice betraying my composure. The twins exchanged confused glances but nodded, both jumping up to see who had come to interrupt our sanctuary. As they reached for the doorknob, I caught a glimpse of the shadows outside, stretching and pulling like a living thing. It sent cold chills down my spine. "Mia, Oliver, wait!" I shouted, darting to them, reaching for the door just as they opened it. The maid stood there, a vision of calm that unnerved me entirely. In one hand, she held a small basket overflowing with vibrant cupcakes. "I thought the twins might enjoy a little treat," she said, her voice dripping with sweetness that contrasted sharply with my instinctive revulsion. Thank you," I managed, swallowing the knot in my throat. It felt like she was offering more than just cupcakes. It was a gesture wrapped in uncertainty, a missive cloaked in hidden messages. The twins squealed, forgetting my moment of hesitation, their delight cascading around us. "Can we have some, Mommy?" they begged in unison, their eyes gleaming with excitement. I felt torn, wanting to protect them from this woman who had woven herself too deeply into the fabric of our lives, someone who could breach the boundary of our dreams. But with every fiber of my being, I also wanted to recreate that fleeting moment of normalcy. "Just a few," I said slowly, watching the maid's expression shift, a flicker of something behind her smile, a shadow behind her eyes. "Just a few?" she echoed, her voice soft yet laced with an unsettling edge. "Children are so impressionable. It's wonderful to nurture their desires, isn't it?" My heart raced, and I felt time suspend itself. There it was again, the implication in her words. Would indulging in something as simple as a cupcake feed the desires she sought to nurture, or was it a step deeper into her world? "Mama, please." Mia tugged at my arm, her eagerness forcing me to release the grip I held tightly around my worries. I sighed, the weight of indecision pressing down, before I finally relented. "All right, but we'll only eat them together," I stated, trying to muscle some control into this precarious situation. The maid's smile widened, showing delight that sent a shiver across my skin. "Wonderful." A shared moment of joy. As she handed over the basket, I couldn't suppress an instinctual flinch. Something dark coiled inside me, an awareness that we were inviting a storm within our walls. I glanced down at the twins, their laughter rising, unmarred by my apprehension. Just as I turned back to the maid, the lights in the room flickered, and for a moment, I thought I caught a glimpse of another figure, a dark figure that drifted, watching from the shadows. My breath caught as panic flared. "Mommy, why are you staring at the door?" Oliver asked innocently. "It's nothing, baby," I replied, my heart pounding. But the unease lingered, spreading through me like ink in water. The maid's presence felt unbearable, like a storm cloud edging closer. And then, in a voice that shattered the atmosphere, she leaned in slightly and whispered, "You can run, but the dreams will always find you." A chill swept through me, sealing our fate as the nursery felt both warmer and colder all at once, the laughter of my children echoing through a winding corridor of ominous consequence. The cupcake basket felt heavier in my hands, its sweetness now tinged with foreboding. Just as I spun around to face the shadows lurking in the corners of the room, the twins' laughter turned into a cacophony of screams. "Mommy! The dragon! Look!" And then, before I could comprehend, the cupcakes began to crumble and turn into ash right before our eyes, the laughter replaced with panic, a surreal transition from innocence to chaos as the darkness closed in. The world teetered as the ashes from the cupcakes swirled in the air, casting a suffocating haze over our laughter-filled sanctuary. My heart lurched as I struggled to piece together what was happening before my eyes. The twins stood frozen, their faces shifting from joy to horror, confusion etched deep into their innocent brows. "Mommy, what's happening?" Mia's voice quivered, genuine fear breaking through the remnants of the warmth that had so recently engulfed us. "Stay close, my loves," I managed to respond, trembling as I instinctively drew them to me, my arms wrapping around their small bodies. I could feel the terror radiating from them, an echo of my own spiraling thoughts. The maid's gaze was fixed upon the ash that had been sweetness moments before, and with it, a smug satisfaction flickered across her features. "Sometimes the sweetest gestures hide the deepest truths," she murmured, her tone now suffused with a mix of condescension and something darker I couldn't quite grasp. The cadence of her voice wrapped around me, tightening like a noose. "Is this what you meant by nurturing their desires?" I shot back, my voice laced with defiance, aching to shield my children from this encroaching dread. The maid merely smiled, yet the warmth within it only deepened the chill in my veins. "Desires can lead to dreams, and dreams can lead to great awakenings if only one is brave enough to let them unfold." I stepped back, a primal urge to protect my twins overwhelming me. Could she really be insinuating that she held control over not just their reality but their dreams as well? I took a breath, gathering the fragments of courage I could muster. "What do you want from us?" Suddenly, Oliver's finger shot into the air, pointing at the window. "Look, Mommy! The dragon is outside." My heart sank further. I spun to face the window, and for a fleeting second, I thought I saw the silhouette of wings, enormous and ethereal, against the dusky sky. It cut through the increasingly oppressive atmosphere with a grace totally at odds with the turmoil inside. The dark figure caught the light for just a heartbeat, its eyes glowing like coals, locking onto mine, and the warmth of protection faded away, replaced by the weight of an ancient melancholy. "Mommy!" Mia cried, her small hands trembling at my side. "I want the dragon to be our friend." I resolutely shook my head, trying to dispel the terrifying visions that crowded my mind. "No, Mia. Dragons aren't our friends. They are creatures of the dark." But as the maid leaned closer, casting her shadow over us, I felt a fearful thought blossom unbidden in my heart. "Or are they?" A calmness washed over the maid's features. "You see, the children possess a wonderful capacity for imagination, far greater than you realize. It is through their dreams that true connections can be forged." Before I could respond, the ash began to swirl atop the carpet, weaving a pattern that seemed to dance like wisps of smoke, forming intricate shapes, and my panic rose alongside it. The air shifted, thickening as though the atmosphere itself was holding its breath, and the twins' laughter faded to a hush. Then, in a voice that quivered like the very fabric of reality, Oliver whispered, "I think the dragon wants to play." Mia nodded fervently, as if entranced by an unseen force. "Yes. Can we invite it to our tea party?" Please? No. I shouted, the instinctual scream erupting from the depths of my soul. It's not safe. But as I turned to the maid once more, seeking her validation, I found nothing but an unsettling calm, a remorseless smile tracing her lips as she looked past me. The world tilted as another knock resounded at the door, harsh and demanding. The sound grated against the mystical silence that now enveloped the room, awakening a latent fear that slithered down my spine. The maid's gaze flickered momentarily, but then her attention returned to my children, her smile unwavering. Your guests will answer their own call, you'll see. Before I could realize what was happening, the front door swung wide open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, a shadow that seemed far too familiar. My breath hitched in my throat as the silhouette stepped forward, shrouded in whispers, merging seamlessly with the remnants of the ash lingering in the air. Mama, it's her. Mia squealed, eyes wide with anticipation. No, don't, I began to shout, but the presence at the door held an undeniable magnetism. It drew the twins forth as they rushed toward it, enthusiasm drowning out my pleas. Children, wait. I called again, desperation creeping into my tone, but my words fell silent against the impending weight of the revelation that hung heavy in the air. The maid glanced down at me, and within her gaze lay a haunting promise, a vision shuddering with possibility, yet marred by the looming dread I dared not confront. As the shadows began to envelop the figure at the door and my children reached toward it, I felt the floor beneath me buckle, a spiraling descent into the unfathomable depths of dreams and desires only sinister threads of fate could weave. But as darkness closed in, I could only whisper to myself, surely I had not led us into a trap unwittingly crafted for our souls. And then there was nothing but an ominous echo of laughter, one that danced on the edge of dreams and reality, weaving through my mind a haunting refrain that promised to chase us until the end. The shadow swirled as the figure at the door stepped closer, ethereal and shrouded in uncertainty. It was then, when faces and shapes began coupling with memories, that I recognized her, the outline of a long-lost friend I had thought existed only in dreams. Once bright and vibrant, she now hovered like a specter, separating light from dark. Mama, it's her. Mia's voice sparkled with undeniable happiness, yet something deep within me recoiled as I searched the contours of this apparition's face. It's just a game, I murmured, more to myself than to my children, desperately trying to convince the instinct within me that fought to protect them. Just a game. But as the twins lunged forward, their small hands reaching out to the distorted silhouette with unblemished trust, the air thickened around us. The weight of their innocence contrasted with my dread, and all I could do was stand there, frozen and terrified, as if time itself had begun to unravel. Let them be. I shouted, but their laughter only grew louder, more joyous, fueling the energy that crackled in the dim light of the hallway. The maid's presence became almost tangible, wrapping around us like a cloak. What have you done? I hissed at her, glaring defiantly, but she merely chuckled softly. Look closer, dear, she said, her eyes glimmering with something far too deep for me to comprehend. The boundaries of your world don't define theirs. They're ready to delve into realms where dreams transcend reality. Ready for what? I pressed, my heart thudding erratically as I felt a desperate need to pull them back. What are you unleashing? But just then, the figure at the door stepped fully into the room, and Mia and Oliver gasped as if they de-glimpsed the embodiment of their wildest fantasies, their faces aglow with magic. We've come to play, she said in a voice that dripped with a honeyed allure, and it was then that I understood the gravity of my mistake, the deeper meaning behind the maid's cryptic words. No. You can't. I cried out, yet they had already entwined themselves within the other's presence. I could only watch helplessly as the dragon, a vibrant, flickering creature in iridescent shades of blue and gold, swirled around them, its essence seeping into the very air we breathed, pulling them deeper into an illusion I knew I could not follow. Mommy! Oliver shouted, his voice laced with excitement as he rode the dragoness back. Come and see. We can be heroes. Heroes? I whispered, the word cascading through my mind like a distant echo. Or pawns? It felt as though the room spun, the walls closing in on me. Get off! I screamed, panic clawing at my throat. Get away from that thing. Ignoring my frantic pleas, the twins laughed, their joyous sounds mingling with the whisper of the dragoness wings. The maid's satisfied smile affirmed my worst fears that they were slipping beyond my reach, guided by a force I didn't understand. Suddenly, warmth enveloped my heart when I glimpsed the fleeting kindness of Oliver reaching out for me. A glimmer of fate tore through the gathering darkness, my sweet boy looking back, as if daring me to join him. Hope flickered momentarily, but the moment was drowned by the shadows creeping closer, gnawing at every fragile connection that tethered my family to me. No! I cried again, my voice breaking. Oliver! Mia! Time stretched as I lunged forward, desperation fueling each frantic step, yet the air thickened, heavy and resistant. It was as if reality itself resisted my intention to reach them, the maid's laughter blending with the rustling dragoness wings, ensnaring me in the labyrinth of my own fear. You can't save them, she taunted softly. But perhaps you can find the courage to step into a new world or lose them entirely. Stop it. My words felt small, powerless against the tide pulling my children away. What had I done? The visions had danced through my mind like delicate threads, but now they were ripping right through the tapestry of my reality. And just then, a surge of warmth enveloped me. A small flicker flickered like a dying candle in the vast emptiness, a shadow of a memory that was almost forgotten. Faith. It reverberated through my heart with a strength that demanded acknowledgement. Hold on, my loves! I shouted, as I leaped into the swirling chaos with everything I had left to offer, but as I plunged through the darkness, an indescribable force pressed against me, suffocating, invasive. I could feel the twins' laughter fade, merging into the echoing darkness around me. And the last thing I saw before everything shattered into shades of obscurity was the maid's ice-blue eyes glinting with a knowing darkness, an unsettling promise shimmering behind her smile. In that moment, I understood, perhaps too late, that the real game was far more terrifying than I could ever have imagined. The chance to forge dreams into reality was wrestling with my ability to protect the very essence of my children. As my cry dissipated into the void, I realized it had become far more than just me plunging into darkness. It was a desperate gamble against a force that would stop at nothing to wield power over not just dreams but their very existence, and with that last fleeting glimpse of my children, laughter turned to echoes, and hope twisted into despair, the confrontation of shadows stretching long before me. The world had narrowed to darkness, wrapping around me like a shroud as I navigated through shadows that felt alive, pulsating with unseen weight and meaning. Each step I took seemed to stretch with an uncanny distortion, elongating moments until they spiraled into an abyss of doubt and fear. Please, I whispered into the endless void, my voice soft yet pleading, where are you? Nothing answered but an unsettling echo of my own heart, a drumbeat of trepidation reverberating in my ears. Then, a flicker of light emerged in the darkness, a shimmer of a bygone warmth. The laughter of my children echoed in my mind, threading joy through the cold grip of my fear. Hold on, I urged myself, urging the memories to guide me. I promise to protect you. As I grasped onto that sliver of light, the weight of despair unveiled a path, tendrils of brightness shooting out from the abyss, leading me forward. With renewed determination, I pressed ahead, willing myself not to succumb to the consuming shadow swirling around. Each step propelled me deeper into the unknown, and then, suddenly, I found myself back in the hallway. The room illuminated with muted lights, the air thick with remnants of magic. But my children were gone, nothing but a lingering echo of their laughter swirled in the lingering shadows of the room. They had slipped through the door beyond, crossing into a realm I had never dared to enter. Where are you? I breathed, fear clawing at my chest. Just outside the hall, I caught sight of the maid. She leaned against the doorframe, watching with a gaze that transcended mere observation. It felt like she was taking stock of my soul. Quite the adventure, isn't it? Her words floated through the air like fallen leaves, crisp and taunting. Adventure? I snapped back, trembling. This isn't a game. You're playing with things you don't fully understand. Oh, sweet thing, she purred, her jade eyes glimmering with an insatiable curiosity. That's where you're wrong. I know exactly what lies beyond those doors. You're thinking of them as children, but they are so much more potential, untamed, waiting to be released. Let them go. I shouted, desperation morphing into fury. You have no idea what you're doing. But I do, she replied, stepping closer, her smile both mesmerizing and chilling. Did you think they were the only ones in danger? There's always a choice, dear. They've chosen this path. They yearn for discovery, for freedom, for something brighter than your mundane existence. Mundane? The word hung bitterly in the air. Is that what you think this is? I keep them safe, that's worth everything. Safety can be a chain, my dear, she countered, her voice dripping with honeyed conviction. And sometimes, those chains keep us away from who we're meant to become. Children understand the world more than we think. You can find them with fear. Through the thorns of doubt, a glimmer of realization emerged. What if she was right? The idea hit me like a tidal wave, washing away the resolute barriers I had built to protect my children. I envisioned Mia and Oliver, their eyes sparkling, their hearts full of dreams. Were my fears truly their burden to bear? I let them slip away. I changed my stance, my heart heavy with the weight of my choice. But within that uncertainty, something twisted in the air, a ripple that warped my perception of reality. What if the price of command is higher than the cost of letting go? The maid asked, her voice a silken thread entwined with possibility. What if surrendering them is the key to unlocking their true potential? You may only find redemption in the very thing you dread the most. Redemption? My voice quivered. What kind of game would that even entail? Suddenly, the boundaries of the room broke apart, shattering into threads of potential, creating a swirling vortex of color and sound that danced just beyond the edges of my perception. I panicked as visions of my children disappeared into kaleidoscopic hues, each representing a fractured possibility. No. I can't lose them, not like this. Intensity became frantic, a torrent of emotion crashing over me as I lunged toward the shimmering void. The maid laughed, her music mingling with the chaos. I could feel her pulling away, but it only solidified my resolve to stay grounded. Embrace the unknown, she sang, her voice a haunting lullaby. Only when you release your grip can they discover who they are destined to be. With every fiber of my being, I fought against the currents, desperate to hold on to my children, to anchor them to my side. But in that struggle, a heartbreaking clarity emerged. Perhaps my desire to protect them was the very thing stifling their spirits. Just then, a boom echoed, like thunder from above, and the vibrant whirlpool swallowed the room whole, dragging remnants of darkness and light into its embrace. I felt hands slipping away, and I screamed their names, my heart splintering as the colors consumed everything we had known. In a flash of panicked clarity, one last vision burst through the chaos, Oliver's bright smile, glimmering like a star in the darkest night. Mommy! He called, the sound radiating across the swirl of emotions. Help us! But before I could grasp that hope, the world fragmented into shades of unknown once more, the essence of my children slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. With despair setting in, all I could do was scream into the dissolving void, I never imagined losing you this way. And as the darkness tightened around me once more, I realized that all choices had consequences, and I was left grappling with the haunting truth that love could be as dangerous as it was beautiful. The air thickened with loss, a palpable presence that enveloped me in suffocating shrouds. I braced for the crash of the void, but it didn't come. Instead, I found myself cocooned in an eerie stillness, hints of color flickering on the edges of my vision like uneaten memories waiting to be rekindled. Mommy! The echo of Oliver's voice clawed at my heart, a tangible desperation that sent icy tendrils spiraling down my spine. I could almost touch him, feel the warmth of his small hand clasped within mine. Almost, but not quite. Where are you? I cried, my voice cracking, the weight of despair clawing at my throat. Please come back to me. Nothing. Just the cold expanse of uncertain shadows and whispers that brushed past my ears like long-forgotten promises. I staggered forward as if newly born into this uncertain realm, my heart pounding in rebellion against the silence that enveloped me. Yet in the depths of my grief, a flicker of resistance wove its way through the darkness, a memory of their laughter wrapped in golden light, urging me forward. I searched through the wreckage of my heart for the threads of hope that might pull me closer to my children. Each step felt like wading through a ghost river, shadows lapping at my ankles as I moved deeper into the unknown. As I wandered, a gentle breeze stirred, carrying with it a faint whisper, wrapping around me like a cocoon. Courage, it seemed to say, a word so simple yet so heavy, radiating with a power that sparked a flicker of warmth in my chest. I took a deep breath, absorbing the moment, allowing the promise of hope to purify the drumbeat of despair. Turning a corner, I stumbled into a room that felt viscerally alive. Wisps of light danced jubilantly against walls painted with swirling colors, illuminating frames of moments long lost. And there, amidst the whirl, stood Mia, her small form vibrant and gleaming with the kind of joy only innocence could conjure. "Mia!" I gasped, my heart soaring even as fear threatened to drag me under. I rushed toward her, the world around me spinning with dizzying intensity. "Mommy!" Her bright eyes sparkled, reflecting the kaleidoscope of light as she twirled joyously. "I found it. Look." She pointed to a peculiar object, a crystal globe, swirling with an ethereal luminescence that seemed to pulse with life. What is that?" I whispered, my breath hitching, awash in the beauty and surrealism of the moment. "It's magic, Mommy." She beamed, her excitement contagious. "It shows us worlds, so many worlds. Oliver's here too," he's just looking. Her eyes widened in glee, yet sorrow flickered there too, a reflection of the uncertainty that clung to me. "Can you see him? Where is he?" I pressed, the knot within me tightening as the swirling colors seemed to shift, molding into shapes. Mia shook her head, misunderstanding etched across her delicate features. "He's looking for something he wants to show you." A hint of sadness dimmed her smile, piercing through the warmth that enveloped us. Without a second thought, I reached for the globe, cradling it as if it were made of glass. The moment my fingers grazed its surface, the colors coalesced with startling clarity, revealing countless paths, each one unraveling with the promise of discovery but also the weight of consequence. It felt like asking to see the possible futures of my children, an act that both terrified and exhilarated me. "Is this a way to find them?" My voice trembled as the images surged. Visions of Oliver's laughter echoed through my mind, his joyful spirit dancing through vibrant landscapes that defied imagination. "Maybe," Mia replied, her innocence dissolving into uncertainty. "But if we open it, it could change things for all of us." Change? The word held so many meanings, raw and uncertain. Suddenly, desperation engulfed me anew, and I clung tighter to the globe, torn between the thrill of possible reunion and fear of the tumult it could unleash. "Mia, what if we do this and it takes us away? What if we can't come back?" I swallowed hard, the weight of my role as protector bearing down on me like a heavy shroud. "But, Mommy." She stepped closer, her small hand resting on my arm, grounding me. "What if it leads us to something wonderful? Oliver trusts us." "I trust you." Her words danced within me, awakening a spark of courage, but fear lurked ever close. "And if we make the wrong choice?" "I can't lose you both, not now." The globe pulsed in my grip, drawn by an unseen force. I felt the trembling of its magic coursing through my veins, whispering of possibilities that could radiate brightness or consume us whole. With Mia gazing up earnestly at me, hope surging in the depths of her gaze, the tension pulsed ripe with uncertainty. The world around us blurred, forming into a decision teetering on the edge of chaos. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, the room trembled, the colors swirling outside the globe darkened, twisting into familiar shapes, shadows of the maid looming in the doorway, her eyes glinting like shards of glass. "Ah, there you are." She laughed, her voice ringing with the chill of legacy refracted in light. "Are we ready to see who your children are truly meant to be?" The question hung heavily, resonating deep within my heart, and just as I turned to respond, the globe in my grasp flickered ominously, an impending storm brewing behind its magic. In that moment, I realized the truth fragmented further away from my grasp, and I stood precariously on the threshold of an uncharted path, threatening to slip through my fingers once more. The horizon of my hope shimmered and blurred, leaving me uncertain about the next step. The maid's cruel laughter echoed in the chamber, drowning out the sweet innocence of Mia's voice that felt like a soft song long forgotten. What do you mean, who they are truly meant to be? I managed to ask, my heart racing as shadows threatened to consume the colorful sanctuary that Mia and I found ourselves nestled in. The maid stepped closer, her presence suddenly suffocating. Oh, you don't understand yet, do you? Her tone shifted, dripping with a sinister sweetness that turned my knees to jelly. You think you have control over what comes next? The children, their destinies, they've always been intricately woven into the fabric of this world. Come, let me guide you. Things can be so much more beautiful if you embrace the chaos. The grip on the globe tightened, but Mia's small hand still rested lightly on my arm, her eyes pleading, a beacon of innocent resolve. Mommy, we can do this together, right? We can trust Mia, no. I interrupted, a sudden wave of fear crashing over me. Do you not see? This isn't just about us anymore. What if she's right? The maid's laughter echoed again, a dark promise that sent chills racing down my spine. Mia, we could end up trapped in a world we can't return from. The reality of my words sent a tremor through me, imagining a fate where I might lose them both, shackled in some twisted reality from which I could not escape. The thought clutched at my heart, squeezing it until I could barely breathe. Mommy, don't you want to see Oliver? Mia's voice trembled, and I could see the flicker of uncertainty clouding her bright eyes. I felt as though a wound was reopening within my chest. All the resilience I built on the pedestal of hope was being threatened with collapse. Yes, but I'm terrified, sweetheart. If we push forward too quickly, the maid seems to know things we don't. What if she leads us into darkness? My voice cracked with raw emotion, each word tearing at the fragile threads connecting us to each other and our shattered past. The maid merely smiled, her eyes reflecting shadows of unfulfilled desires. Oh, sweet child. The darkness and light are part of the same spectrum. What if I told you that stepping into the unknown is the only way to unlock the fullness of their potential? We'll chase the beautiful illusions until they become reality. Aren't you curious about what Oliver has to show? Curious, yes, I admitted, battling the tide of despair that threatened to pull me under, but at what cost? I want to gamble with their lives. The globe pulsed faintly in my grasp, and I felt the life shimmering inside it, whispering promises of worlds where dreams breathed freely, yet the fear of losing them surged in my gut like fire. Before my mind could settle on a decision, the maid snapped her fingers, and the room around us shifted. The colors tapered off, revealing whispers of images that wrinkled time like pages turning too fast. Look, she urged, the excitement coating her words like honey. Look at what lies beyond. Your children, if you let them embrace destiny, magic will be unlocked, and you will witness wonders you never dreamed of. I blinked against the onslaught, letting the visions fill my mind. I saw Oliver with eyes sparkling and radiant, leading children through a kaleidoscope of laughter beyond realms I hadn't known existed, a world bursting with colors unlike any I had ever seen. Images flickered, like fireflies darting in the night air, flaring briefly before disappearing into the darkness. Mommy, please, Mia tugged at my arm, her desperation palpable. Can we trust her? Can we be brave enough? Oliver is waiting, he needs us. We need to. My heart ached, torn between the desperate longing for a reunion and the growing dread that clung tight, like a ghost. Mia. You don't understand, I faltered, feeling the winds of uncertainty shifting as the maid watched with unsettling anticipation. Do you not see? She breathed, a gleam of mischief dancing behind her eyes. The moment you hesitate is the moment you lose. The choice belongs to you, but know this: once you step through, you can't look back. Many paths unfold, but not all return home. Taking a trembling breath, I felt the cold press of inevitability mount around me. Even with fear gnawing my insides, Oliver's laughter echoed in my ears, eternal and vital. Nothing could eclipse that hope, not even darkness. Mia, the name slipped through my gritted teeth, and I forced myself to surrender to the idea that maybe chaos was the path to salvation. If we choose this, we cannot falter. Yes. Together. She shouted, sincerity blossoming across her thin face, illuminating the doubts glimmering around us. The maid smirked, gesturing toward the swirling globe. Then join hands and make a wish, a simple one to guide you through what lies ahead. But heed the warning, wishes carried on wings of chaos may bear fruit of unforeseen consequences. With that, a flicker of understanding ignited inside my chest as I looked down at the globe. It pulsed with urgency, the essence of everything waiting just beyond our reach. Clutching Mia's hand, her small fingers entwined through my own, I allowed a deep breath to fill my lungs, buoyed by the flicker of what might be. Okay, I whispered, the statement a fragile piece of steel amidst the vulnerability that surrounded me. We'll find Oliver, together. Whatever it takes. The maid's grin widened, the shadows dancing gleefully in her wake as she stepped back, leaving us surrounded by the swirling colors of potential futures. Just then, as I braced myself for the plunge, a sudden and unexpected tug pulled against my heart. The globe spun violently, throwing me into a maelstrom of light and darkness, casting echoes of laughter and cries against the walls of my soul. No! I screamed as the colors enveloped us, a relentless tempest swirling around, pulling everything into its sorcery. I lost sight of Mia's face, the world transforming into cracks of brilliance that refracted memories of both light and shadow. As the storm closed in, I could hear voices intertwining through the chaos, my children's names melding into a haunting melody as the last particles of light slipped through my fingers. Then, in the depths of that brilliant abyss, an unimaginable crack echoed, and I was left teetering on the brink, my heart racing with a new dread. Was I finally losing them altogether, or was this a gateway? Then within the pandemonium, a whisper caressed my ear, you'll see them again, but they may not be who you expect. And with the perilous revelation dangling in the air like a promise unfulfilled, the darkness swallowed me whole, void and potential converging in ways too profound to comprehend. The air thickened, drenched in uncertainty as the void around me pressed in with an unnatural weight. I felt a disorientation swallow me whole, the visions of colors and laughter all melted into swirling enigma. Panic fluttered inside my chest as I strained against the overwhelming tide, searching for a glimmer of the reality I once knew. Mia! I called out, my voice swallowed by the maelstrom, desperation clawing at every fiber of my being. Were we truly lost? Where were the kind eyes of my daughter and the laughter of Oliver? An ache settled deep within me, the ravages of hopelessness gnawing at my heart. As the torrent of chaos surged, it finally released me, casting me into a stillness that felt alien and cold. I found myself standing on an uneven surface, devoid of warmth, everything draped in a shrouded twilight where the sun had no righteous claim. A shadowy landscape stretched before me, pulsating with a rhythm I could not understand, and yet, somewhere in its depths, I felt an echo of home. Mommy! The voice came like a gentle call, and I turned, hope igniting momentarily in my chest. But my heart sank as I saw Mia. She was standing slightly apart in the distance, her form wrapped in a spectral glow, outlining shadows behind her that seemed to twist and shift too unnaturally. Don't be scared. I'm here. Mia, come closer. I urged, reaching out across the space that divided us. But the words felt flimsy, sliding through my fingers like grains of sand. A glimmer of uncertainty shadowed her features, as though she sensed the danger lurking just behind her. I'm trying, Mommy. But I feel different. It's like something is pushing me back. Her small frame trembled, and I felt a rush of dread grip my heart, a fear that perhaps the chaos had morphed her in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. Mia, listen to me. We need to stick together. Hold on. Please. But just then, darkness slithered around her like serpents, pulling her figure into the murky fog. I felt a fracture in my spirit, a panicked crack that surged through me as though a vital tether was fraying between us. No. I lunged forward, but the distance yawned insurmountably, the shadows laughing. The shadows seemed to speak, whispering secrets tainted with bitterness. Let her rise into her destiny. She is marked for more than you know, and such things cannot be resisted. Marked? I gasped, remembering the maid's words as realization crashed upon me. What destiny awaited my daughter? What had this chaos laid bare beneath the surface? I couldn't let her become a pawn of the darkness, an unwitting sacrifice to whatever game was unspooled before us. Just then, an unexpected warmth surged through the thickened air, a fragile thread of golden light emerging from beneath the shadows. It illuminated the alcove where I stood, whispering a promise of protection, of potential. Trust the light, it will guide you. I felt compelled to follow it, even as the darkness whirled around me, ready to drown me in despair. With every breath, I solidified my intentions. I would not abandon Mia to unknown fates. Stepping toward the radiant glow, I barely felt the terror clutching at my heels as I reached for her. Mia. It doesn't matter what they say. We will figure this out together. My words throbbed in the air, resonating through the tempest as I pleaded for her to believe in our bond. Through the swirling gloom, she turned to face me, a flicker of recognition flashing in her eyes. Mommy? She reached out, desperation mingling with a hint of hope. My heart surged at the sight. The light is with us. Trust it, and trust me. As I ran forward, the shadows hissed and writhed, attempting to grasp at my ankles, but the golden light seemed to push them back, clearing a path I desperately hoped would solidify. I felt the warmth enveloping Mia, pulling her back, and in that instant, the distance between us began to collapse. Mia. The bittersweet taste of relief coated my voice, and just as I grabbed her hand, a jolt rippled through me. The darkness screamed, the laughter rising to a cacophony, and before I could take another breath, a blinding flash exploded around us, swallowing the twilight whole. As the light engulfed us, I squeezed Mia's hand tighter, willing us both to hold on to whatever shred of unity remained. Do not let go. But the might of the universe was unrelenting, and with a final breath of defiance, the world shattered around us. With a sudden thud, I found myself tumbling backward, flattened against the ground. Dazed, I opened my eyes to find I was back in the room, but not alone. The maid stood there, the malevolence of her smile unchanged, flickering just like the heartbeat of the globe still in my grasp. Oh, dear, she sighed, amusement dancing in her eyes. Welcome back. It seems your journey has merely begun. You see, the destinies of your children are far more interconnected than you realize. Heart racing, panic clawed at me once more. What have you done to her? I demanded, every ounce of fear swirling into rage. Her laughter surged like a wave. Oh, sweet child, it's already in motion. But you will soon find every choice comes at a price, one you might not be prepared to pay. And as the shadows in the corners danced with malevolence, I recognized with a chill that nothing would be as it seemed. Oliver, Mia, and I stood on the precipice of something monstrous, something that would alter the very fabric of who we were forever. And then I felt it, a sinking realization that chilled my bones. It was not only my children's futures that were at stake. It was mine too. The light enveloped me like a cocoon, warm and patient. I blinked against it, disoriented yet cradled by the comforting glow. The echoes of shadows fought to penetrate as reality twisted like a fabric about to fray. I could feel laughter, the familiar, sweet laughter of my children, but where were they? The sound wrapped itself around my heart, urging me to move, to find them. Mia. Oliver. I whispered, my voice trembling on the cusp of desperation. As the vibrant glow grounded me, I fought against the chaos that still lingered on the periphery of my senses. I'm coming. As if guided by some unseen thread, I stumbled forward, the warmth pulling me through a shifting landscape. Each step resonated with the beat of my heart, and I could hear the laughter grow, merging into echoes of hope amid the encroaching shadows. A figure materialized just ahead, a silhouette bathed in that serene light. Mama! The cry pierced through the shadows, unraveling fear with each syllable. It was Mia, her small frame radiated joy as she danced in the midst of color. The golden touch surrounding her cast sparkles that faded the darkness away. I rushed toward her, relief flooding through my veins when I felt the tether of our bond tighten. Mia! Oh, thank God, you're here. I pulled her into a tight embrace, gripping her little body as if she were the anchor keeping me tethered between worlds. Where's Oliver? Is he here? She beamed up at me, her eyes shimmering with excitement, yet a subtle shadow crossed her features. He's just around the corner, Mama. He said he found something really special. Show me, sweetheart. I urged, my heart racing even as a flicker of uncertainty warmed my edges. Something about the enchanted atmosphere felt too surreal, too perfect. With her small hand clasped in mine, we dashed through the glowing landscape she spun toward a realm that felt almost alive. It was a place woven from fragments of forgotten dreams, shimmering like memories yet to be made. Wisps of golden light twirled around us, inviting and exhilarating. "Mama, look." Mia pointed ahead. There, at the center of gleaming petals that undulated like waves of laughter, stood Oliver. He was transformed, shimmering against the backdrop of colors and laughter, bathed in light. His eyes sparkled like stars, and despite knowing that shadows lingered, he looked wholly and blissfully alive. "Oliver!" I called, moving faster, the weight of my love propelling me forward. As I approached, I caught a glimpse of that dragon from before whirling through the air. Its scales flickered like the colors we had traversed, and within its presence, I could feel ancient mysteries waiting to unfold. "Mama! Look at what I found." Oliver held out a small crystal, an iridescent gem cradled in his palms that glowed with a light of its own, a reflection of the fragments of our journey. "It shows us our dreams. If you look closely, you can see everything." But the edge of worry brushed against me, stretching taut as I hesitated. "What does it show, Oliver? What dreams are inside?" His eyes shone brightly with joy untainted by darkness. "It shows us the good things. The best things. We can share them together." My heart crumbled under the weight of his innocence, and yet shadows crackled in the background, pulling at the edges of our soaring joy. "But what about the darkness? What about the cost?" My voice felt thin, strained, focused on keeping us tied to safety. "Forget the darkness," Mia exclaimed, spinning with unrestrained delight. "Look, Mommy. We're in a place where dreams don't hurt. Just feel it. Everything is so light." And then, for a single heartbeat, I fought against the fear that coursed through me, but the reminder of the maid's warnings clawed at me from behind. But dreams can deceive. They can lead to places we cannot control. "Trust, Mama," Mia insisted, hope radiating from her words. They twinkled like stars in the vast unknown. She gripped my hand tighter, and Oliver stepped closer, holding the gem closer still. "We can make our own destiny. Let us try. Please." As I stood before them, locked in that moment of decision, I felt the earth shift beneath my feet, the boundary of choices weighing heavy in the air. I could either step fully into their world, embracing the magic that flickered with promise, or I could turn and retreat to safety, still unsure whether safety meant saving them or imprisoning them. "Mama!" Oliver called again, tilting his head, sensing my hesitation. "Please. It's our chance to be together. Forever. Are you scared?" I choked back tears, my heart pounding against the walls of my chest. "Of losing you?" Without knowing, I felt the shadows coil tighter. "I can't lose you both again." "Then let us step together," he urged, extending the crystal invitingly. "Whatever happens, we face it as a team." Taking a deep breath, I reached out, my fingertips brushing against the cool surface of the gem. The world around us trembled with a vibrant energy that felt like breathing life back into the unknown. "Together?" Mia nodded vigorously, her eyes brimming with trust, and Oliver squeezed my hand tightly. "Together." In that synchronized moment, we closed our eyes, hearts aligned in unison as the gem pulsed beneath our hands, sending waves of warmth through the depths of my spirit. "Now," Mia shouted, "we wish to see our dreams together." The world exploded in light yet again, a brilliant kaleidoscope unfurling before us, stretching into realms I hadn't dared to imagine. I felt the pull of our collective wish spinning us into a vortex of color and warmth where shadows fell away into soft whispers. And then, finally, space opened around us, expansive yet familiar, a place like home that felt unattainably close. I opened my eyes, breath hitching at the dreams swirling all around us, the possibility of healing, of light, of a bond that chased away doubt. "Welcome," a voice purred from the depth of the glow, and my heart seized at the sight of the maid materializing from the threshold of light. "Welcome to the realm where your dream shapes reality. You can choose what becomes of this world. Leave us," I shouted, the protective instinct overwhelming me. I stepped closer to the twins, feeling their radiant warmth seep into my very bones. You've done enough damage. Her smile was a haunting reflection of power. You see, dear ones, every choice made here is free from fear but bears a weight. What do you desire? Freedom from darkness? Or will you seek the light, unconditionally? Mia gasped, squeezing my hand tighter. Don't listen. We were happy. The maid's eyes glinted mischievously, a shadow passing over her features. Happiness is merely the veil, dear child. But dreams, they reveal what lies beneath. It is your chance to forge the future. Will you step across the threshold of this new path? As uncertainty lingered, I glanced at Oliver and Mia, their radiant freedom lighting my heart. Perhaps we had merely been wandering in the dark, and stepping forward was embracing the light no matter what the shadows whispered. What do I care about the cost? I said quietly, and resolved, I stepped forward. We choose our journey, together. We learn what lies ahead, and we'll face it with love. Together. The twins echoed, mirroring my resolve, and we linked hands once more, our spirits entwining as we moved forward. The glow of our collective wish unfurled like wings, shattering the limitations previously placed upon us. The maid's expression shifted, revealing something that felt like awe beneath her veneer. And so it will be. You have chosen love in the face of the unknown. Watch as you forge light into this destiny. And in that radiant moment, with fear and hope united, our dreams spiraled into the unknown, crafting futures that emanated boundless possibilities, a home built on trust, a journey woven with shadows awaiting to be understood, and as the light shimmered brightly around us, I knew as long as we were together, we would soar into all the infinite wonders of the world, with love guiding our steps and dreams revealing our truth. The shadows faded into soft echoes of laughter, whispers of the journey past, replaced by the sweet promise lying ahead. Ready to be embraced, ready to be shared, together, we would dream. Together, we would live. As we stepped forward, I couldn't suppress the feeling that somewhere beyond this horizon, we were about to discover who we were meant to be, and the adventures awaiting us were boundless, leaving trails of light to follow in our wake. Together, I whispered again, and I meant it with every fiber of my being, each heartbeat a defiant echo against the shadows. In the end, that was all there ever truly was: the light, the love, and the dreams worth living for.